Okay, and we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with this evening's live stream. It is 7:35 p.m. Spain mainland time, 6:35 p.m. on the Canary Islands, and 6:35 p.m. here in Portugal. Today, we'll look at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press in Spain, some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times also by viewers, and then of course in the second half of this evening's live stream we'll go into the chat, check out what's happening there. So if you're in the chat this evening, say hello. Now, straight into the news, and a big day for Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez. A judge turned up at his presidential palace in Madrid, but Mr. Sánchez, of course, did not want to testify. He used his right not to testify in this case against his wife, and as we can see here, he also decided to file a lawsuit against the judge in question, Judge Peinado, por malfeasance. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has filed a lawsuit on Tuesday against the magistrate Juan Carlos Peinado through a letter signed by the state attorney's office. According to sources in the government, the president has taken this initiative in defense of the institution of the presidency and after availing himself of his right not to testify as a witness in the case against his wife, Begoña Gómez. After weeks of doubts, the head of the government has opted for this option after Peinado appeared at 10:20 a.m. this morning in the Palace of La Moncloa to try to interrogate him in the summary that he is conducting for alleged crimes of influence peddling and corruption in business. So there we go, Mr. Sánchez saying no, and of course accusing the judge or filing a lawsuit against this judge for malfeasance or wrongdoing, if you like, wrongdoing of a position of authority, I think is the definition there. So Mr. Sánchez on the front foot, not respecting the justice system, if you like, willing to give his testimony in this case, and the judge leaving empty-handed with a lawsuit thrown in to boot. So interesting times we are living in Spain, because Mr. Sánchez does not want to bring any more attention to this case against his wife, Begoña Gómez, for, as we saw there, alleged influence peddling and corruption in business, because according to the Prime Minister and his cronies, this is all a beat up by the right side of politics in Spain to damage the name of Pedro Sánchez. So we'll see how this one ends up, but Mr. Sánchez there using his right not to declare in this case, and then using the state attorney system to file a lawsuit against the judge in question. Interesting times we are living. Second piece of news here, in the Spanish economy grows by 0.8% in the second quarter, with a decrease in inflation to 2.8%. The GDP of Spain has grown by 0.8% in the second quarter of 2024, the same growth rate as in the first quarter. The National Institute of Statistics has published the data showing year-on-year growth of 2.9%, higher than the previous 2.5%. Inflation continues its downward trend, with a decrease of 0.6 in July, standing at 2.8%, the same figure as core inflation. The drop in food and electricity prices has been key to this moderation. Thus, inflation registers its lowest level since last February, when it also grew by 2.8%. So inflation under control yet? Not sure, but decreasing in the second quarter. 2.8% growth, but as we know, something still very, very expensive in Spain, especially when it comes to certain foodstuffs. Olive oil, as we know, breaking records not only in Spain but worldwide. So some Spaniards still doing it tough when it comes to weekly shopping at the supermarket, their grocery shopping. And the third piece of news, and bad news for the online accommodation site Booking.com, because the Spanish Competition Authority has fined that company 413.2 million euros, the largest sanction in the authority's history, for abusing its dominant position or abusing of a dominant position in the market. The National Commission for Markets and Competition, the CNMC, confirmed on Tuesday the fine of 413.2 million euros to Booking, the largest imposed by the agency in its history for abusing its dominant position and infringing Articles 2 of the Law on the Defence of Competition and 102 of the Treaty of the Functioning of the European Union. In a statement, the CNMC explains that the platform has committed to abuses of its dominant position since at least January the 1st, 2019 to the present by imposing several unfair commercial conditions on hotels located in Spain that use its reservation intermediation services and restricting the competition of other online travel agencies that offer the same services. So there we go, a huge fine, massive fine handed out to that company, Booking.com. And I'm going to be honest, I have used Booking.com in the past, never had a problem with it. But of course, as we saw there, according to the Competition Authority, it abuses its position on the internet, as many companies seem to do that have very prominent positions on the internet, which, as we know, can sometimes stifle competition for smaller operators. But what was that fine again? Let's have a look. 413.2 million euros. So we'll see what happens there if they pay up, or no doubt they will challenge that fine in some type of higher institution, I imagine. First comment here, Andrew Buckle Book Reviews. It's great that they are talking about youth mobility schemes between the UK and Spain. We should just be back into Erasmus and hopefully at some point in the EU. A betrayal of the British people? Question mark, question mark. Typical garbage from a failed shadow minister. There we go, from Andrew there, that comment. And I read in the paper today that Mr. Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, has nipped this one in the bud already, saying that it's not going to happen. So yesterday it hit the press here in Spain, and today it was put to bed by Mr. Starmer, according to the press outlet that I read, The Independent newspaper, I think it was, in the UK. Starmer saying that it's not going to happen. So a storm in a teacup, as we saw there. But it would have been a good idea, I think, to have young British people able to come and live and work in the European Union, or Spain in particular, for a period of time, like they can do in other Commonwealth countries, for example, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and of course the European Union or Spain, just so close. It makes sense on every front, in my opinion, but not according to some people in the comment section from the UK. For whatever reason, they just think that out is out. Out is out. Never be able to go back in. Well, one here from Neil. Correos, what nightmare service. The amount of time items posted to me get robbed and disappear. I now refuse items to be sent by them, especially from the UK. The service is shockingly slow. An appeals process is like pulling teeth. Let it go into liquidation and start again. No wonder competition is thriving. Thanks, Neil. We saw the other day that the Correos, the Spanish postal service, is in financial difficulty, according to the unions. $3 billion of taxpayer money needing to be injected into it, and a company that does have its issues, of course, faced with competition from other courier companies, because people don't send letters anymore, so they're trying to get into the parcel business, but not easy with all of the other parcel companies out there. And people complain about the Correo service, and I think Neil in particular there, ever since the UK left the European Union, Correos has become a bit of a nightmare for many people, especially if you get things, big things or expensive things sent over to Spain. You have to pay customs and excise on those items, and I've basically given up getting things sent from Australia. Just prefer to get presents and things online in Spain, and have people send money if they're going to buy presents for my son, for example. my mother, my sister, just send the cash and we'll buy them inside the European Union, because I'm sick of having to go to Correos to try and get them released from the tax agency, because they get stuck there and it's almost impossible to get them out unless you pay a hefty amount of money, which is sometimes not in line with the cost of the items in the first place. They put an estimate on what the price is and they slap a tax on top of that. The VAT normally, plus another amount on top. So, forget about Correos. Just get money sent over or buy it in the European Union. Así de sencillo, as they would say in Spain. Forget about getting things sent from outside the EU, which, of course, Neil obviously is doing, getting things sent from the UK, I imagine. One here from Medialis. Spain already has 600,000 completely built or partially built homes standing empty from the 2008 collapse. Seems stupid to build another 40,000 rather complete the ones that sat there empty. Yeah, thanks Medialis for that, but obviously it's not that easy, because nobody's talking about that. We saw yesterday that the government has put forward some 6 billion euros to build cheap houses to be available for rent. And I think the lease on these properties is going to be something like 50 years, we saw yesterday, or something like that. And that's what the government is deciding to do. These empty properties sometimes have been built in areas where people don't want to live. Maybe good areas for a holiday, but not necessarily if you want to reside, if you have a job in one of the Spanish cities, because these properties are sometimes not there. They're in areas, as I said, where people go on holidays and not necessarily want to live full time. So that's an issue. So that's probably why that's not happening. And those properties belong to somebody. The state just can't take them over, I don't think. They might belong to a bank, or they might belong to an investment company, and that's the issue. So not that simple. So thanks for putting the idea forward, but I'm sure that if it was that simple, it would be done. Another one here from Gold Geologist. Stu, your sound quality is just great. What do you use when walking around? Thanks, Gold Geologist, for that compliment there on my sound. I always say that sound is the most important thing when recording a video. If you haven't got good sound, you haven't got a good video. Doesn't matter how bad the image quality is. If you can't hear what the people are saying, no good, amigo, no good. And what I use, Gold Geologist, is this thing here, which is a little Rode Wireless Go, and you just put it into your pocket on my shirt. That's why I have pockets on my shirts, to put this inside, protect against the wind, because wind is an issue. Wind also destroys sound, and hopefully I get decent sound on the videos that I put out, because as I said, fundamental is the sound. So thanks, Gold Geologist, for that. And next one here from Jose Antonio. I have grown marijuana at home for friends for a few years. There are no legal problems. I don't smoke it because I don't like it. I do like the traditional Moroccan way of smoking marijuana, which is gentle and pleasant, and is actually for tea as 1 or 2 biscuits. Thanks, Jose Antonio, for that. Never tried the Moroccan way of smoking marijuana, which apparently is a way to relax with a cup of tea and a couple of biscuits, rather than smoking a joint on the street. And this was pointed out yesterday because somebody said that Spain's drug laws when it comes to cannabis are draconian, and Germany is leading the way. And in fact, the German laws are basically a copy of the Spanish ones, I believe. So that is not the case. If you want to smoke cannabis in Spain, just go to a club and become a member. There's plenty of these cannabis clubs around Spain. In fact, you can get online to look at where they all are and just write and ask for an invitation, and away you go. So you can go inside there, smoke your life away, no problems at all. Another thing is, of course, if you take that stuff outside and start smoking it on the street, and a police officer comes up and confiscates it, you might be out of pocket. But when it comes to drug laws, you can grow plants in your back garden, as Jose Antonio has been doing there in the royal city, Ciudad Real. So no problems if you like to consume that drug And the other one here from, last one here from Doug. Hi, Stu, do you think that the Spanish may trade in their water pistols for real pistols? Are the Brits no longer welcome in Spain? Thanks, Doug, for that. The answer to this question I have answered on numerous occasions. And first I'll get the first question out of the way. Will the Spanish trade in their water pistols for real pistols? The answer is no. Nobody has any need for a gun in Spain except criminals. And nobody's thinking of exchanging water pistols for real pistols. We'll get that one out of the way straight away. This is not a gun culture. There's no gun culture in Spain. Maybe some hunters carry guns. Maybe the police carry guns, but no one else carries a gun. Maybe criminals, but that's about it. Your average Spaniard has no interest in a gun at all. And when it comes to the second point here, Brits no longer welcome in Spain. Well, those water pistols, as somebody pointed out in reply to this comment, were just at random tourists. Nobody knew where they were from, whether they were Germans, Polish, Ukrainians. Nobody knew where these people were from. They were just sitting there having dinner at a time of the evening, which is not when Spanish are having dinner, of course. They were protesting at that time. Spanish like to have their dinner a little bit later on in the evening, around 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30 at the weekend, whereas foreigners, people that come to Spain on holiday, like to stick to their meal times and are having dinner sometimes at 6:30, 7, 7:30 when the Spanish are out protesting. That was the issue, basically. And it's not an anti-British thing. A lot of people are thinking it's an anti-British thing because the British press have made it an anti-British thing, but it's not. It's an anti-tourist thing. Okay, so don't think that it's only anti-British. That is not the case, and it's only in certain areas. And the people that are telling tourists to go home are a minority. A lot of these protesters, as we have seen, as I've mentioned here and has been written in the press, want tourism, but they just want to change the model. They don't want this mass tourism model which Spain has adopted over the last 40 or 50 years where anything goes. They want to change that. They want to try to control it a little bit, regulate the tourism sector. And those people were in the wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately, having dinner. And the protesters were a little bit radical, as they can be in Catalonia, as we have seen with other protests, because there is a radical streak in the Catalans for some reason. I don't know what it is. They like to think that they are above the law in this sense. They can do whatever they want in these protests, and that's what happened. But it's not an anti-British thing, so forget about that. Now, into the chat section, I'm going to go. Let's do that in just a minute. Firstly, I'll put the like icon on the screen here, if I can find it. That's not it. Let me see if I can find the like icon. I might have moved it, so I can't seem to find it today. But anyway, here it is. So if you hit the like icon now, please, just below the video, we'll see if we can get up to a decent tally. Currently sitting at 48. So we'll see if we can get up to a decent tally today. I know there's a lot of competition out there at the moment with the Olympics. Lots of people watching the Olympic Games, hoping that their country wins a gold medal. Interesting, the medal tally currently. I think the Japanese are out on top. Done quite well in the skateboarding, apparently, the Japanese, and a couple of other sports. And France doing quite well, of course, as the host nation. And yeah, so we'll see lots of people interested in the Olympic Games, of course. Support, people that have supported the channel in recent times. Super thanks, buying me a coffee, Patreon supporters, thank you very much. And of course, the channel members on this YouTube channel, thank you very much for the support, because without that support, I wouldn't have been able to keep going for so long, I don't think. I probably would have packed it in maybe a couple of years ago, but the support keeps me going. Thank you very much for that. Now into the chat section. I'll just open it up here and see what's happening. Barbara coming in from the Playa Flamenca and the Levante Coast. Is it Levante Coast? Is it? I think it is. Costa Blanca around there. 30 degrees, 33 degrees there. Very sad day in Southport, UK, where Barbara used to live. 3 young children stabbed to death. Yeah, unbelievable that those things happen. I'm not going to talk too much about it now because it's not related to the content on this channel, but there seem to be a lot of people getting stabbed lately. And children getting stabbed. I mean, what's the reason for that? I mean, does anybody know? Does anybody know what the motive was? Has that been released? Terrible news. Very sad. Andrew, Sanchez is demanding Judge Peinado stop the investigation after commenting on Sanchez's right not to appear. This whole saga is ridiculous and does Spanish politics no good at all. Yeah, it's very true, Andrew. It's a very bad look for Spanish politics. You would think that they would just sort of, try and get it out of the way quickly, right? But there might be something to hide. As we say, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's definitely smoke here, so we'll see if there is fire regarding Sanchez's wife, who, according to the allegations, was basically doing what she wanted, going around and trying to get contracts and all of these things, get money for foundations. And the allegation is that she was using her position as the wife of the Prime Minister. And but my opinion on this is basically monkey see, monkey do. This is what people do every day of the week, right? They use their influence, they use their power or their contacts as leverage. She probably thought there was nothing wrong with it. She'd get away with it as she'd seen it done before. But the investigation was started by that Manos Limpias group, and it continues today. Sunny coming in from Basingstoke, 32 there. Wow, that's hot for Basingstoke, I can imagine. I reckon there would have been a few lads with their shirts off today in Basingstoke. I reckon there would have been. TOL coming in from El Puerto, sadly going to Philadelphia tomorrow from Jerez and San Diego, medical appointments. Sorry to see you go, Al, but I'm sure that you'll pop up in the chat section and we'll be back ASAP, right? Renan coming in from LA. Good to see you, Renan. Good to see you. Jose Antonio in the chat as well. We saw that comment before from Jose Antonio. Leonor saying thank you. Thank you very much for watching, Leonor. Always good to see you in the chat. Richard coming in, hoping everyone is well. We have been blessed with very nice weather in North Yorkshire for the last week. Been 25 the last few days. Not sure how long it will last, given the weather conditions in the UK. Probably guaranteed it won't last long. Amanda coming in from Shropshire, also in England there, I think. Janet coming in from a very hot Oxford. Seville family on their way back to Spain, sadly. Short visit, of course, from Janet and from Janet's Seville family living down there in the hot city of Seville, the oven of Seville. Let's be honest, what parts of Spain aren't an oven or haven't been an oven recently? Not many. Canary Islands are beautiful, says David. Yes, they are. They are beautiful. Very impressive islands they are. Worst chores coming in from London. Ola from there. Paul coming in saying, keep the channel up. I will try to, Paul. I'll try to. I've been going for a while now, so I know all of the tricks of the trade, so I should be able to keep going. Erica coming in from an awful day in Terrassa, 39 degrees there. At 2 o'clock, still hot and muggy, enjoying a nice glass of Aiden with some lovely cockles. Tonight is going to be hard, but have to survive. Get the fan on, Erica, or the air conditioning if you've got it. Make sure you turn it up to full blast and keep the windows open. Hopefully you've got some mosquito protection on there. Some, what are they called? Mosquito wire or whatever you want to call it on the window to keep the mozzies out. Bronny coming in from South Wales, currently 22 degrees there. Reached 26. That's hot for there. That's boiling, exactly. My point before. Sure there were a few Welsh lads with their shirts off as well in the hot weather. Sunny Florida's watching. El Conquistador, thanks for that. What else we got going on here? Stan coming in from California. Bought his ticket heading back to Madrid in November. Good one, Stan. Back to Madrid in November. Getting out of California, heading back to Spain. Yeah, buy locally. That's my advice. Exactly. Don't send anything to Spain from abroad. It'll just get stuck in the aduanas, as they call it here. They've got a special company set up, the Postal Service, which go through things and they say, well, we'll take this one, try and get some extra money out of them, we'll get some extra money out of them, we'll get some extra money out of them. That's the way it works. They don't care if they're imports coming from China or another country in the world for retail purposes. A lot of people buy goods in China and then sell them in Spain. That's what they're trying to stop. But of course, when my mother sends a pair of pajamas from Australia for my son and they get stuck in the aduanas or the customs depot at the airport and they want to charge me an extra 60 euros to get them out, I say no, and they get sent back to Australia. I'm not falling for that again. No way, Jose. What else? Let's have a look here. TOL back in El Puerto in October, hopefully. Or thankfully, sorry. So, definite. What else we got going on there? Well, let's have a look here. Quickly. Pamela's saying hello. Dave is also in the chat, former Florida correspondent, currently living in the oven, the dust bowl that is Madrid, saying, hoping everyone is well and staying cool. Yes, that is true. Difficult to stay cool, Dave, isn't it? Gillian coming in from Torrevieja with Bob, no doubt. Family in the UK tell us the postal service is somewhat poor. Yeah, I think every state-run postal service has seen better days. Obviously, because people don't send letters anymore. You only get bills or fines in the mail nowadays, or at least that's been my experience. And a lot of bills come online as well now, trying to get rid of paper. So bad news for the paper industry. But the Postal Service is suffering as a result. What else we got going on here? Let's have a look. Dave visited his smoking club this week. No problem. Getting his stash was Dave. One of these many cannabis clubs in Madrid, of course. Just go there, buy whatever you need, smoke it, and away you go. Completely legal, I believe. So that's what we saw yesterday. What else we got going on here? Worst chores prefers Estrella Galicia y un kilo de chuletón siempre y cuando esté en Galicia. There we go, chuletón. Big piece of meat, like a T-bone. John says he liked Spain there 2 weeks ago. Loved it. I agree with the anti-tourism movement. I am a tourist myself. There we go. What else we got going on here? Let's have a look. 21 degrees in San Diego, where Marianne is today. Always seems to be cool in San Diego, where, of course, TOL is heading back to. Ed's coming in from Denver. No, Madrid was a candidate for the 2020 Olympics, but they were passed up. Have you heard about any talk about for Madrid to be a possibility in the future? Yeah, Madrid has tried on at least 3 or 4 occasions, I think, to get the Olympics. They had a huge crack at it about 10, maybe 15 years ago. Was the obsession of a couple of mayors there, of course. They were upset that Barcelona got the Olympics, which, let's be honest, is fairly unheard of that you don't get the Olympics in your capital city. Look at Paris, look at London, look at Helsinki, look at Tokyo. Look at Rome, look at Berlin. I could go on. The only cities that are not capitals that get the Olympics seem to be in places in the New World. For example, Australia, you're not going to hold the Olympics in Canberra, all right? You're going to hold them in Sydney. You're not going to hold the Olympics in Washington, D.C. You're going to hold them in L.A., for example, right? But Spain decided that Barcelona was going to be its city for the Olympics, and I reckon it was a mistake. But Madrid missed out, and good luck trying to get them again. Gold Geologist is here talking about the wine that's popped up here, native Spanish white grape that is 25%. Different gear TV. The trouble with sleeping with the windows open is that you can get a cockroach come in from outside. Well, if you've got the, as we call them in Australia, the fly wire or the mozzie nets or whatever you want to call them, you can keep those insects out. Jed, big pensions debate in the UK. Some pensioners will have their winter payment removed. What are the state pensions like in Spain? State pensions in Spain well, it depends how much you put into the system over the years. Some people end up with a very generous pension, over 3,000 euros a month, but that's the minority. I think the average is probably, don't quote me on this figure, but I think the average is around 1,500 euros a month, I believe. But again, it all depends how much you put in. What else we got going on here? What else? Let's have a look here. Don Quixote coming in from the Tower Bar, one of Ulster's Spanish-speaking bars up there in the north of Ireland, of course. Ulster was there many, many years ago. What else we got going on there? Real Calgal, or Real Calgal coming in from Georgia. California, is it? La Mesa. There we go. Maybe Georgia's the name, not sure. 81 degrees Fahrenheit there. What else? Let's have a look here quickly, going through the chat. Alcaraz and Nadal just won doubles match in Paris. There we go. I don't think Spain's won a gold yet. I think they're waiting for Alcaraz to bring home the gold in the tennis. Don't seem to be doing too well in other sports, unfortunately, Spain. But basketball, they had a bit of a hiccup. I think they won today, but we'll see how they go. What else we got going on? And Dave's saying that Madrid will host an F1 race next year, probably host an NFL game in the near future also. There we go. So sport coming to Madrid, Formula 1, F1. Now that's the end of the chat. Going to wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in this evening. Thanks for participating in the chat. Been a pleasure as always. I'll see you guys again on Thursday with another live stream and maybe some content tomorrow, maybe not. We'll see. Hasta luego, hasta entonces. Adios. Bye-bye.